And I hope you will forgive me, my friends, with no disrespect to the generations of magnificent Italian parliamentarians and freedom fighters, if I call upon the late and great Sir Winston Churchill to make my point. When Churchill was fighting with words and his pen to bring about a change of attitude within the British government in the 1930s, a British government predominantly comprised of his own party, Churchill said of Stanley Baldwin, everybody remembers Neville Chamberlain and his ridiculous piece of paper. Not so many represent Baldwin for the bad guy that he was, but Baldwin was a bad man on appeasement. And Baldwin, as Prime Minister, practiced appeasement. And it was Churchill who said to him, bluntly, so I'm following in good footsteps, my friends, there sits my right honourable friend, the Prime Minister, on the Treasury bench, the government front bench, up against Adolf Hitler. And what is his attitude? I say to the House, said Churchill, he is resolved only to be irresolute, adamant for drift, solid for fluidity, all-powerful to be impotent. In other words, absolutely useless. And as Churchill eventually said, rather amusingly, perhaps a bit brutally and unkindly, but rather amusingly, I have nothing personal against Stanley Baldwin. It is just that upon the whole, I think it would have been better for the world if he had never been born. The same about the tyrants and torturers of Tehran. The truth of the matter is, appeasement fails. The only thing that dictators respect is strength. So we must not allow them to foster an atmosphere of appeasement which is accompanied by what I call Tina. Now, who's Tina? Well, Tina is a female name, but Tina also stands for there is no alternative. There is no alternative but a set of arrangements that will lead to chaos. And that, too, we know is wrong. And you do not have, my friends, to look into the crystal ball when you can read the book. And we can read the book of the last 40-plus years. The National Council of Resistance of Iran is the living refutation of the thesis that there is no alternative. There is an alternative. It is a democratic alternative. It is a well-organized alternative. It is a conceptually coherent alternative. And it is an alternative grounded in principle and committed to an explicit program, if you will, Madame Rajavi's intended contract with the people of Iran. So let's not have any more of this substandard, down-market, low-grade drivel about there being no alternative. What an appalling admission of weakness, of error, of failure, of deceit on the part of the regime that it says there's no alternative. They can't defend their own record. They can't defend their economic record. They can't defend their human rights record. They can't defend their record as terrorists, as torturers, as kidnappers, as hostage takers, as would-be nuclear armors, as people who wish to oppress their own people and, if possible, others as well. So they're left saying there is no alternative. There is an alternative,